Hello everyone, it's your girl Tinu Hadi of Ishi Kutio. In today's tutorial, we shall be looking at how to cut a long pencil skirt. Yes, a very fitted skirt, especially the ones that gives a perfect fit around the butt area. You can use this technique to cut the lower parts of your gown, and you can also use it to cut a short skirt. It gives a perfect fit around the butt without making your butt flat. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new tutorial. Like what you're interested in, let's go right into the tutorial. I've gone ahead to draw out a starting line for this skirt. Yes, and that line will be serving as our waistline. Then I've gone ahead to measure out the length of the skirt. It's a long skirt, like I said earlier. It's a long pencil skirt. So I've gone ahead to draw out a starting line for it. So, and I've measured the length of the skirt. Then from my waist, I'll be measuring the person's waist to hip. And for this, my client, our waist to hip is 8.5. So I've gone ahead to measure up our waist to hip. So you have to do the same on your client too. You put your tape on the waist of your client where the person normally keeps her skirt. Then you measure to the largest parts of her bum. This is me measuring out my waist to knee too. Yes, I'll be needing this so that I will know where the pencil effect is going to start from. So that we can have a well fitted skirt. So that is my knee line, that's my hip line, and the starting line, which is also my waistline. So what I'll be doing next is imputing her measurements. So our waist measurement will be divided into 4. Oh, so sorry about that. The waist part is not actually showing. But what I did here was to divide the waist measurement into 4. I imputed it with 1.5 seam allowance. I don't like adding too much seam allowance because I don't want any form of bulkiness that will cause any form of bulging when it is worn. So I like adding at most 1.5 inch seam allowance. So after imputing quarter of my hip measurement on my hip line, what I'll be doing on the knee is tightening my knee by 1.5. Yes, I'm going to minus 1.5 from whatever I have on my hip line. So for instance, quarter of my hip measurement is 10 because my hip is 40, quarter of it is 10. So I'll be minusing 1.5, that is 8.5. Then I'll add my 1.5 seam allowance on the knee. So that's what I meant by knee tightening. You can actually do 2, but 1.5 is, I'm okay with 1.5, depending on how comfortable the person is to wearing a fitted outfit. So that measurement I have on my knee line, I'm going to take it right down to the hem of the skirt. So I've gone ahead to do that. So I'll just connect the line from my knee to the hem of the skirt. So we are almost as good as done for the front part. So I'm just trying to blend out the knee parts because we don't have sharp edges on the body. Just trying to smoothen the lines, the hip parts and the knee parts. Just use your hand to smoothen it. Then what next now is to do our waistlines. This is a dartless skirt. It's a dartless skirt, so it's good for all these our ashwebi. Yes, it's good for ashwebi. If you are a Nigerian, you will know what I mean by ashwebi. Like if you are cutting the underlay, the support fabric for your lace. Yes, this method is really nice. So it helps you to curtail any form of fold around the belly part, especially when you're sewing for plus size and people that has tummy. So it helps you to curtail any form of um, smile lines, wrinkle around the tummy parts or the hip parts. So I'm going to go ahead and come down with by 1 inch on my waistline. That is the center part of my waistline. I'm going to come down by 1 inch. I connected it to the side of the skirt. I mean side of the waist. I came down by 1 inch at the center, then connected it to the side of the side. You can see it's not really showing, so sorry about that. So we are done. So we'll just go ahead and cut out. Go ahead and cut out. Remember to add 1/2 inch on the waist part for seam allowance. I mean, whether you are joining to an half bodies or you are taping, because this is a bandless skirt and it's also a dartless skirt. So we are good as done for the front. So move to the back. I've gone ahead to draw out her lines. I've drawn out my zipper allowance, my waistline, my hip line, and my knee line. So on the waistline, I'm going to go in by 3/4 of an inch. This helps to give your butt that fine effect. The back will be well laid and it won't flatten your butt. So I've gone ahead to mark 3/4 on my waistline. I went in by 3/4 at the zipper part on my waistline. I went in by 3/4 of an inch. You can do one, you can do 1/2 inch. So from that my new line, I mean the 3/4 that I went in by, I'll be taking my waist measurement plus my 1.5 seam allowance. On my hip line, I'll be measuring 1/4 of my hip measurement plus my seam allowance. On the knee line, remember for the front we tighten the knee by 1.5. So what I will do here is share the measurement, I mean 1.5 into 2, which will give me 3/4 of an inch. So all the measurements, including my seam allowance that I have on my weight on my hip line, I'm going to transfer it on the knee and on the hem. I'll transfer whatever I have on my hip line, including the seam allowance, I will transfer it to both my knee and to the hem of the skirt. So that 1.5 that we tighten the front by is still the same that will tighten the knee of the back. It's just that it will be shared on the zipper part and by the side of the skirt. So I'll impute 3/4 there and I will take 3/4 at this other side, making 1.5. So if you were to tighten the front with 2 inches, you will take, that means you'll be sharing the 2 inches into 2, which will be 1 by the zipper side and 1 by the side of the skirt. So I've gone ahead to connect my lines together. I've gone ahead to connect it. You can see the way I connected it. I came down by 1 inch at the hip line so that I won't have a sharp edge. Just be sure that all your points are well smoothened out, that you are not having any form of sharp edge. So what I'm doing here is to transfer the same thing I did on the knee right to the hem of the skirt. I took 3/4 of an inch by the zipper and 3/4 of an inch by the side of the skirt, and I connected it to my knee line. So you can see both the zipper and the side of the skirt, they are having almost the same shape. This helps to give our butts a very fine, well shapen effect without flattening your ass. So this is me taking my zipper allowance, and as we can see, the zipper allowance is no longer straight. It's going to assume the shape of the butt. This skirt is an open slit, not the overlap kind of slit. So that's why I'm having a straight zipper from up to down. So I'm just trying to connect my new zipper allowance. You can see it's no longer straight like we had in the first place. You can see. So this is my new zipper allowance. Yeah, this is my new zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and add half an inch to the waistline because I'm joining these two and half bodies. So I've added my half an inch. You can as well add half an inch for your tipping, or if it's going to have a band. So we're as good as done for the back. So I'll go ahead and cut out. I decided not to leave out this part so that we'll see the shape. I'll see where we are cutting out to avoid any form of confusion or mistake. Yeah, go through the knee to the hip, then straight to the waist part. Yeah, you can be sure that when you sew this skirt, you'll be very happy. I've been using this method and it has really been working for me. It gives my skirt this kind of very fine effect at the back. Remember to notch your zipper part, because by the time you start joining, you see your side and the hip parts looking the same. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and if this is your first time here, you're welcome. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new tutorial.